Right, what your gun sound like, bro?
Kaylin, what your gun sound like, bro? Allie, what your shit hit for? If I see like boom, 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 boom.
Here lies my ex. Listen, you should have never died. you should have never played with me, because then I gotta take it to the 3rd degree, you know? They was just dude popping up and threatening the whole family. And
Telegraph Avenue, Oakland, California, July 13th, 2024. 5:47 p.m. Inside Glamour Beauty Supply's grand opening, children clutch balloons and hip-hop pumps through speakers. Aliana DaGod Green shakes hands with supporters, her phone overflowing with congratulatory messages. She is an entrepreneur, a success story, and a sister raising her younger siblings after their mother's murder. In the next 60 seconds, she'll reach into her purse and fire the first shot, a decision that ends her life and exposes the lie she'd been living for 2 years. The woman Oakland mourned as a rapper who killed her abusive ex in self-defense never killed anyone. The ex she claimed to smoke, alive in another state, the street credibility she built her career on, a complete fabrication, but the gun she pulled at her own celebration, fatally real. The real tragedy wasn't just how she died, it was discovering the person she'd become to survive. The music industry had made survival impossible. Welcome back to Real True Crime 24/7. Today we're covering the death of Oakland rapper DaGod, a 27-year-old artist who built her entire career claiming she killed her ex-boyfriend, only for police to reveal at a court hearing that the story was manufactured for clout, and the violence she glorified eventually became the violence that killed her. Rest in peace, Aliana. May your family find strength in this impossible time. And to everyone watching, I pray you find peace today, that you're safe wherever you are, and that these stories remind you how precious life truly is. If you're returning, thank you. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, because we cover the cases mainstream media won't touch with the depth they deserve. Now, let's get into it. Aliana Green, 27, known as DaGod, was finally living her American dream. Her ex-Woodpack album was going viral. She had enough money to move her family into better housing and open a black-owned beauty supply store in Oakland. She represented something powerful, a young black woman who survived trauma, channeled it into art, and was building generational wealth. Dominic Gates, 24, known as BNC4 Nero. Richard Romano, 31. Both moved in the same hip-hop circles as Tan. Both carried weapons despite prior convictions. Both would walk into her celebration that July afternoon. Surveillance footage captured everything: an argument. Tan reaching into her purse first, drawing her Taurus pistol, firing before anyone else. The return gunfire that killed her and wounded another. What we uncovered about Tan's hidden life, the fabricated murder story, the marketing scheme that became her identity, and the moment her lie collided with Oakland's real street violence, will explain why she pulled that trigger and why the legal system gave her killers a pass. By early 2024, Aliana Green had become everything she'd dreamed about as a struggling teenager. She had over 22,000 Instagram followers. Local radio stations played her tracks. She was earning real money. But here's what launched her: a lie. According to Tan's own brother, the story of her killing her ex-boyfriend in self-defense was pure marketing.
So dope, bro. What is shit about what she's saying? Drill, okay? Then you said that something probably happened to my sister in retribution to the fact that she killed her ex-boyfriend 9 months ago and was doing this album about it called Woodpack, bro. And she went viral and all that shit on Academics. Yo, fam, let me tell you something, bro. She paid over $20,000 to Academics. Facts, bro, to get that fucking promo by him. Yo, what are you talking about? Them interviews that you saw her doing and all that shit that you seen her on the porch. Bro, pay for that shit, brother. You know anything about the industry, bro? You got to pay to play, bro. Ain't nothing in this shit free. I don't give a fuck who you is, fam. Ain't nobody doing no interviews for free, fam. You know what I'm saying? So let me tell you something, bro. You don't know what you talking about, bro. That shit was fake. It was fake, bruh. She did not kill no ex-boyfriend, bruh, and make a whole album about it, bruh.
She admitted to an Oakland comedian the whole thing was fabricated for publicity. The ex she claimed to smoke? he was alive in another state. This lie was her gold. She told a podcaster she'd killed her ex after he threatened her family.
Here lies my ex. Listen, you should have never died. you should have never played with me, because then I got to take it to the third degree.
She created an elaborate graphic backstory. And for the darkest piece of performance art, she even made a tombstone prop, an actual engraved slab that read, "R.I.P. Here lies my ex." She brought that prop to interviews, holding it up saying, "I got this to be extra childish, making families mad." Except there was no grieving family, no ex-boyfriend buried in any cemetery. The entire career-defining narrative, the self-defense killing, the trauma she survived, the court case she beat, none of it happened. What she actually had was a juvenile record for a domestic violence incident where she pleaded no contest to aggravated assault. Not murder, just assault. Why would someone fabricate such an extreme story? The answer lies in hip-hop's authenticity problem. In Oakland's competitive scene, you need an edge. Female rappers face immense pressure to prove they are hard enough to compete with men. Tan saw an opening, domestic violence survivor who fought back. Rapper who'd actually lived the violence in her lyrics. That story was gold. She allegedly paid over $20,000 for promotion to get that lie viral. $20,000. That's more than many Oakland families earn in half a year. She invested it in convincing the world she was a killer. But Aliana was more than her stage persona. She was a woman who became a mother to her younger siblings after their own mother was killed by gun violence. Every dollar she earned, every risk she took, it was all for them. After months of planning and saving, she decided to open Glamour Beauty Supply on Telegraph Avenue. The concept was deeply personal. She knew how hard it was for black women to find quality hair care products in their own neighborhoods, often watching her grandmother take 2 buses to distant shopping centers. Her store was meant to break cycles. Oakland legend Mr. Fab called her a hustling go-getter with a world of ambition, drive, and courage, and a heart big as Texas. By July 2024, she had multiple income streams, even moving to Florida to run an Airbnb business. The store represented stability, proof that you could build an empire without violence. The trip back to Oakland on July 13th was supposed to be brief. Celebrate the grand opening, connect with fans, hug her siblings, fly back to Florida and keep building. But in Oakland's underground, whispers were already circulating. The ex she claimed to kill? Nobody could name him. The case she beat? No court records existed, and some people were starting to ask questions Tan couldn't answer. Dominic Gates wasn't some random criminal. At 24, he was BNC4 Nero in the Bay Area underground scene. He was a convicted felon with a disturbing past, including statutory rape and failing to register as a sex offender. Even worse, Gates had been involved in another brutal shooting just 13 months earlier. According to police reports, Gates and an associate allegedly pulled up to a San Leandro gas station and opened fire, ultimately leading to a woman in their own car dying in the crossfire. Gates was never charged with that killing, but he did catch a gun charge. That case was still working through the courts when July 13th arrived. Richard Romano, 31, remains more of a mystery, but was placed at the scene by surveillance and witness testimony. What connected these men to Tan? They didn't know her personally. They weren't family of any ex-boyfriend seeking revenge, because no ex-boyfriend was murdered. But in Oakland streets, where reputation is everything, Tan had been making a lot of noise. For 2 years, she'd been loudly claiming she killed someone. Her lyrics bragged about murder. Her interviews detailed graphic violence. In a city with 120 homicides a year, her performance was creating ripples she didn't understand. She'd spent 2 years painting a target on her own back, and by summer 2024, she was trapped in her own performance. The fabrication had become her reality. The week before July 13th, Tan was posting from Florida about her successful Airbnb business and the long-awaited grand opening. The renovation had taken months, the entire process documented, from the abandoned storefront to the final product displays. She flew back specifically for the celebration, and her younger siblings, the children she was raising, were excited to see her. July 13th arrived with perfect weather. Her grandmother showed up early to help arrange lipstick displays and hang promotional signs. Pride radiated from every movement. This was their family's victory. At 5:04 p.m., she posted her final Instagram story. A video of the crowd gathering, music pumping, her voice over the top saying, "We really did this, y'all." She was genuinely smiling. 43 minutes later, she'd be dead. Around 5:30 p.m., the doors opened. The store was packed with families, children, and grandmothers. Tan moved through the aisles, shaking hands, hugging supporters, a true entrepreneur in her element. But outside, something was shifting. Around 5:45 p.m., witnesses noticed a group of young men approaching. Unlike the families arriving all afternoon, these figures moved differently. Purposeful, hoodies pulled up despite the July heat. The festive chatter inside began to quiet. Tan stepped outside to see what the commotion was about. Her boyfriend followed closely behind. At 5:47 p.m., Tan stepped outside her store to handle what seemed like a simple argument. 15 seconds later, she made the decision that proved she'd been living inside her fabricated persona too long. She reached for her gun. 5:47 p.m. Telegraph Avenue transforms from celebration to chaos in seconds. Outside Glamour Beauty Supply, the argument escalates fast. One of the hooded figures produces a weapon, pointing it directly at Tan's boyfriend. Tan reaches into her purse. The Taurus pistol comes out smooth and fast. The gun wasn't just protection anymore. It was part of the persona she'd built, the image of someone who wouldn't hesitate to use it. Surveillance cameras from 3 different angles capture the terrifying moment. 5:47:38 p.m. Tan draws her weapon first. 5:47:41 p.m. She fires. The first shot, sharp, unmistakable, nothing like the bass thumping from the speakers. The kind of sound that stops hearts before brains process what happened. Screaming erupts. Customers hit the floor, pulling children close. More shots follow. Return fire from Gates and Romano. Bullets flying in multiple directions. Glass shatters. Car alarms blare. Elderly customers who came to support a young entrepreneur now crawl behind beauty supply shelves, praying the shooting stops. The gunfire lasts less than a minute. When the shots finally stop, the silence cuts deeper than the chaos. Smoke hangs in the air. The smell of gunpowder mixes with spilled hair products and the metallic scent of blood. Tan lies on the hot asphalt. A witness heard her screaming, "I'm hit! I'm hit!" before she collapsed. The same hands that had been shaking customers' hands minutes earlier now fight for every breath. Emergency sirens wail within minutes. Paramedics work frantically on the pavement. The street, which had been filled with balloons and laughter, now looks like a war zone. Shell casings litter the ground. Paramedics load Tan into an ambulance and rush her to Highland Hospital. At 6:47 p.m., exactly 3 hours after her final Instagram post showed her smiling in her store, Aliana, Tan DaGod Green, is pronounced dead. Highland Hospital's waiting room fills with her family. Her younger siblings, the children she'd been raising since their mother's murder, now face losing their second maternal figure to gun violence. When doctors emerge with the official confirmation, the wails echo through hospital corridors. Back at the scene, investigators find the gun Tan used. The victim, whose recent interviews detailed killing her ex-boyfriend, now lies dead from her own gunfight. The parallels are disturbing. Social media explodes. Everyone assumes this was revenge from her ex-boyfriend's family, payback for the killing she'd bragged about. Her mentor, Mr. Fab, posted that he was planning to attend the event, but God had other plans. A haunting thought that he might have been able to prevent the confrontation. The tragedy shutters the business district. A shop owner told local news, "If they don't feel safe, they won't come anymore. That's bad for business." Families who came to buy beauty products instead ran for their lives. As Oakland mourns, investigators are discovering something that will change the entire story. The surveillance footage showing Tan drew her weapon first, and the devastating truth that the ex-boyfriend she claimed to kill never existed at all. Within 48 hours, Oakland police have the surveillance footage. Frame by frame, the video shows Tan reaching into her purse first, drawing her weapon before anyone else, firing the first shot. This isn't the clear-cut murder case the community believed. The investigation quickly connects Dominic Gates and Richard Romano to the crime. Gates, already a convicted felon, was out on bail for a prior gun charge stemming from the gas station shooting. Then, Detective Santos pulls the records on Tan's persona. The $20,000 promo reveal. The Oakland comedian's testimony that she admitted the lie. The official records confirm no murder report for any ex-boyfriend, no missing person case, no death certificate, nothing. The entire foundation of her album, The Self-Defense Killing, didn't happen. This captures the ultimate tragedy. Tan created brilliant marketing. She manufactured a persona of a killer and built an empire. But the fabrication had consequences she never calculated. Now, the crucial question, why did Gates and Romano target her that day? The most likely scenario based on evidence, Gates and Romano didn't come specifically for Tan. Her sister said she wasn't even the target. She got caught in street politics that had nothing to do with her fabricated story. Gates was already an active participant in Oakland street violence. Maybe he had beef with her boyfriend. Maybe he was simply asserting dominance at a public gathering. In Oakland streets, violence needs no logical reason. But Tan's 2-year performance of being a killer made her a clear target when confrontation arrived. When someone pointed a weapon at her boyfriend, Tan didn't freeze. She reached for her gun and fired first. The persona she'd created for marketing had become the reflex that killed her. 3 weeks after the shooting, Dominic Gates and Richard Romano are arrested on first-degree murder charges. December 2024. The preliminary hearing begins. The prosecution plays the surveillance footage. Timestamp 5:47:38 p.m. shows Tan reaching into her purse first. Timestamp 5:47:41 p.m. shows her drawing her weapon before anyone else. The defense attorney seizes the moment. My clients were defending themselves against an armed aggressor. The video is clear. Then the district attorney drops the courtroom bombshell. The victim's entire public persona was built on a fabrication. Aliana Green never killed her ex-boyfriend. There is no record of his death. Gasps echo through the gallery. The DA juxtaposes Tan's recorded interviews, where she bragged about murder, against police statements confirming no such crime ever occurred. She built her career on this lie, the DA argues, and on July 13th, she brought a gun to a community celebration and used it first. Here's the legal reality. California law allows deadly force in self-defense if you reasonably believe your life is in danger. The surveillance footage showed someone pointing a gun at Tan's boyfriend. She could claim she was defending him. Yes, she fired first. But she fired at someone who'd already drawn a weapon. That creates reasonable doubt about whether she was the aggressor or defender. Add in her fabricated murder story destroying her credibility as a victim, and the prosecution's case collapsed. The DA could spend months in trial and likely lose or accept a plea deal on lesser charges. March 2025. The plea agreement is announced. The murder charges, carrying potential life sentences, are dropped entirely. Dominic Gates and Richard Romano plead no contest to felony gun possession charges only. 8 months. That's how long Gates and Romano sat in jail. 8 months for killing someone at a children's event. 8 months while Tan's siblings learned to live without her. The courthouse doors opened, and they walked out free men. Tan's mother stood on those courthouse steps, tears streaming, asking a question thousands of Oakland families have asked. My daughter is gone forever, and these men go home to their families tonight. Where is the justice in that? Tan's younger siblings, the children she'd been raising, now face an impossible grief. They've lost their mother to gun violence, and their sister to gun violence. The two maternal figures in their lives, both taken by the same plague that haunts Oakland streets. Those close to the family say the children struggle to understand why the bad guys weren't punished. The beauty supply store never reopened. The space that was supposed to represent hope and black business success sits empty, a reminder of what could have been. Online, her music streams increased after her death. The cruel irony she'd been chasing fame her entire career, only to become truly famous once she was gone. Violence prevention organizations use Tan's story in their outreach programs. They show young artists how fabricated street credibility can have fatal consequences. They explain that performing hardness you don't possess can make you a target when real violence shows up. Oakland sees approximately 120 homicides every year, one of California's highest rates per capita. Tan's case reveals a troubling truth about the music industry. She manufactured a story of domestic violence survival to prove she was hard enough to compete in a male-dominated rap scene. She invested $20,000 in promoting a lie, making a tombstone prop, and giving interviews defending actions that never happened. She almost made it. She had the business. She had the financial plan. She was building something real. But the lie she told to get there followed her back to Oakland. When confrontation came, she responded as the person she'd been pretending to be instead of the person she actually was. The fabricated identity killed her as surely as the bullets did. When artists like Tan manufacture these experiences for credibility, it undermines serious work being done to help genuine victims. It makes people skeptical of real survivors. It turns trauma into marketing material. Tan's story raises awareness about Oakland's gun violence crisis, the pressure young artists face to be authentic, the complexity of self-defense cases, and how quickly celebration can turn to tragedy in communities where violence simmers constantly. Telegraph Avenue, Oakland, California, July 13, 2024. 5:47 p.m. That's when Aliana Green stopped being DaGod, the rapper who claimed she'd killed her ex, and became just another Oakland homicide statistic. The ex she bragged about killing never existed. The street credibility she built her career on? A complete fabrication. The gun she pulled in self-defense? The same impulse that killed her. She spent 2 years convincing Oakland she was a killer, and when real killers showed up, she reacted exactly as the person she'd been pretending to be. The persona she created for marketing became the prison she couldn't escape. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7 at 1-800-799-7233. Real survivors need real support, not performative narratives, but genuine help escaping dangerous situations. What are your thoughts on this case? The pressure to be authentic in hip-hop? The plea deal that freed her killers? The fabricated story that may have contributed to her death? Let us know in the comments respectfully. This is a real family grieving a real loss, real siblings who lost their only remaining parental figure. If you found this deep dive valuable, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. We cover cases mainstream media won't touch with the depth and respect they deserve. Rest in peace, Aliana Green. Your light was extinguished far too soon in a city that's lost too many young people to violence. May your siblings find strength. May your family find peace, and may your story prevent another young artist from believing they need to fabricate danger to succeed. Next time on Real True Crime 24/7. When a rising social media influencer's carefully curated image collided with the reality she was hiding from followers, the lies she told online became the weapon someone used against her, the case that exposes how digital fame can have deadly real-world consequences.